So I have a whole video addressing the subject of James chapter 2 and explaining how James 2 is not saying that works are for salvation or that they're an evidence of salvation or anything like that. But one thing I do want to address here, just one quick verse that a lot of people just kind of pull out of context, is James 2 verse 19, where it says, "Thou believest that there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble." Okay, but what's interesting is that people aren't necessarily quoting the entire verse, and what they do is that they kind of give a very deceptive, or I guess you could say an oversimplification of what the verse is saying, and they'll say something like, well, believing in Jesus is not enough to save you because even the devils believe in Jesus, and obviously they're not saved, right? However, if you actually read the verse that they have in mind, that verse is not saying that the devils believe in Jesus, right? What that verse is actually saying is that the devils believe that one God exists. They believe that there is one God. Okay, and obviously we understand, right, as Christians that believe that salvation is by faith alone, not by works, lest any man should boast. Obviously, we don't believe that just simply agreeing with or believing the fact that one God exists is enough to save you, right? Obviously, we would understand that salvation is not just by believing that God exists. You also have to believe specifically in Jesus Christ. You have to put your trust in Jesus Christ to save you, as opposed to just believing in facts about the existence of God. So that being said, the verse is not even being correctly understood when they use it that way. But another thing to point out as well is that, first of all, the Bible doesn't even tell us that Jesus died for the devils. Salvation is not offered to them, right? The Bible says he took not on him the nature of angels, but he took on him the seed of Abraham. So obviously we understand that salvation was not offered to the devils or the angels or anyone like that. Jesus died for the human race. Jesus died for all men, right? So that being said, the question is, okay, well, if James 2:19 is not about our salvation, right, if it doesn't imply that salvation by faith alone is incorrect, so then the question is, well, what exactly is James 2 saying, or James 2:19 specifically? Basically what he's saying is that, if you have faith without works, you're unprofitable, right? And the devils, they believe in the existence of God, but obviously they're not profitable for anything. If anything, they make a net negative when it comes to the things of God, right? So Christians who have faith, and they talk about their faith, but they don't actually do any works, it's not that these people are unsaved, but rather what it means is that these people are unprofitable just like the devils are, is basically what he's saying. And what's interesting is that we know for a fact that Peter was saved, that he was a believer, that he was saved, but yet even Jesus calls him Satan, right? Hey, get thee behind me, Satan. And he says that to Peter, right? And Satan is not just a devil. I mean, he's like the devil of devils, right? The big devil, right? So the fact that Jesus calls Peter, Satan, in the book of Matthew, and obviously we know Peter was saved, would it really make any sense to say that because James is bringing up devils, that therefore the audience he's talking about are people that are not really saved, but because they have a dead faith or something? No, obviously that'd be ridiculous, right? The whole point is about the fact that faith without works is unprofitable. It doesn't help others, and you're just as profitable as the devils if that's the case.